We'll call the Crow Wing County Board of County Commissioners special meeting for May 19th, 2020 at 9 a.m. at the Historic Courthouse to order. First order of business is pledge allegiance to the flag and a moment of silence, if you'd please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, everybody. First of all, you probably want to know why I called this special meeting. And after Friday's meeting at 10 o'clock out in Garrison at JJ's Bird's Nest that County Administrator Houle and Commissioner Brecken and I attended, with a lot of restaurant and bar owners who were telling of their heart-wrenching stories of their businesses that a lot of them have been had for 10, 20, 30 years that are concerned about their future because of the governor's executive order and not being able to be open. And I'm going to start out by, I think I got this letter. For some reason, I couldn't sleep very good last night either, because this is bothering me.
Sarah?
And so, but I think this letter that I got last night at 3:12 a.m., I think kind of sums up the reason why that we're here. And it
Karen
says,
Miller, VFW, Garrison, Minnesota.
Paul Coring.
Is now joining. Unknown participant is now joining.
Thank you for calling a special meeting to discuss potential opening bars and restaurants in time for Memorial Weekend. As you are likely aware, converting a strictly sit-down restaurant into a temporary drive-up is not suitable. We live in a time when people expect convenience. So for businesses without a drive-up window or a menu plastered on the outside of their building, we cannot compete with those chains like McDonald's, Arby's, Culver's. Those drive-through lines are 10 cars deep all day long, while smaller businesses are stuck watching the traffic flow by on 371 and 210, praying that their phone will ring. This shutdown is deeply hurting to my family. We moved to the Brainerd Lakes area 4 years ago when my husband's former boss offered him a job managing a restaurant. Tensions are high. We live press conference to press conference, just waiting for a shred of hope that the future that we planned for our 3 children, 5, 4, and 8 months, will still be there when the shutdown ends. June 1st is not a confirmed date in which restaurants and bars will be allowed to open, per the governor's. And given the pace of reopening thus far, it seems unlikely. I cannot sleep tonight. That's why she probably sent it at 3 o'clock in the morning. My heart is heavy. I'm trying not to get my hopes up about the meeting today, but I am praying that the rest of the board sees this situation as you do, and that this will be over soon. Sincerely, Julie Garland, Brainerd. Anyway, I think that kind of sums it all up. And Bill was there at this meeting. I guess I'd like to have a discussion here between the board and the county administrator of what can we do? We're elected to represent the people, and I just think that it's not our job just to sit here and do nothing. I mean, we have to speak out. We have to do something. We have to, and I don't know what it is. Honestly, I don't know what it is. So I guess I'd like to just have the discussion started. I believe that Josh from, is it Lonesome Pine, I believe wants to speak, I believe, on behalf of restaurant and bar owners. We're not going to have everybody speak, but I think you're speaking on their behalf. Is that correct, Josh? He's muted.
Josh? Hang on. Josh, you need to push us, there's a little bar in the middle, and you need to unmute yourself. It's a little microphone. I think you have the volume off. Oh, just wait, maybe it's me. Sorry, everybody was clicking in, so I turned the mute off. Okay, you're fine, talk now.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you, great. Sorry about that.
No worries. I haven't had time to, I can't speak for all the restaurants in Crow Wing County, but I can speak for our area, and I think most of us have same and similar beliefs and desires, so I feel good speaking for our Crow Wing County restaurants and bars. It's Memorial Day weekend. For me at the Lonesome Pine, that's 1/3 of my first quarter revenue in 5 days. You know, you guys know the Brainerd Lakes area. We struggle all winter long waiting for summer. We have a very short window to get things done, to make enough money to carry us year round, to keep our staff employed, to take care of what we need to for our families, for ourselves, to keep our businesses running. And we've been very, very patient. We've sacrificed a lot. There's 4 major holidays for us in the summer, starting with fishing opener, Memorial Day weekend, July 4th, and Labor Day. We've already missed fishing opener. If we miss Memorial Day weekend, I mean, that's going to be huge. I mean, 1/3 of 3 months revenue for me in 5 days. So what can we do? We wanted to help support of our community. We want support of you guys, Crow Wing County, to be able to take it to the next level. Will it work? Who knows? But at least we're trying. We're trying to do it the right way. We're trying to go through the appropriate channels. And I think in Crow Wing County, a very respected county in the state of Minnesota, if we have your support, I think that goes a long way.
Thank you, Josh. Appreciate it. And then I believe we have on the line, is it Catherine Kirsten? I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. Senior Fellow at the Center of the American Experiment in Minneapolis.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for this opportunity to speak. As the Commissioner said, I am a Senior Policy Fellow at Center of the American Experiment, which is a public policy institution in Minneapolis, and I'm also a homeowner in Crow Wing County. We at the Center are speaking up statewide for the citizens of Crow Wing County and other counties and towns like it. And we want to commend you for your efforts to push back against the current unreasonable economic shutdown order, which is unnecessarily killing people's livelihoods. And I do want to assure you that you are part of a statewide grassroots effort that is just beginning. I know that there are similar efforts taking place in southwest Minnesota, Windham, Jackson, Worthington, Lakefield, other places, in northern Minnesota, places like Roseau. 70 chambers of commerce have now signed a letter calling on Governor Walz to consider a more equitable approach that doesn't create unnecessary unfairness and hardship. Now, the Center has thousands of members across the state, and in the last month, through our Back to Work Minnesota campaign, Minnesotans have sent 50,000 emails to the governor and to their legislators calling for an end to the shutdown in its current form. We've erected back-to-work Minnesota billboards on major highways in the Twin Cities metro, and we're also affiliated with the Upper Midwest Law Center, which has filed suit in federal court on behalf of Minnesota small businesses. There was a major story about this recently in the Star Tribune. Yesterday, we went to court to request a judge to stop the state from barring church gatherings. We have written very extensively about this. We have an economist on our staff. We have written in the Star Tribune. I am a former longtime columnist, actually, for the Star Tribune. I wrote about, on our website and elsewhere, the meeting in Garrison of the bar and restaurant owners, and I currently have an op-ed out on how greater Minnesota and smaller businesses
Is now
generally
exiting.
are bearing the brunt of the shutdown. I do hope that the Brainerd Dispatch and other newspapers in this region will print it. It's already been printed by the Mille Lacs Messenger. So just a final point. Yesterday, when Attorney General Ellison got the order to shut down Shady's Restaurant, he did so based on what he said was a large increase in COVID cases in Stearns County. That was, of course, the meatpacking plant there. But what he failed to do was to provide an accurate picture of the threat that the virus represents. We all know it's a significant problem, but it's a confined problem. It's a serious risk to infirm elderly people, people with significant underlying health issues. And as I've written in the Star Tribune, the median age of those who have died from the virus in Minnesota is 83. 80% of the deaths have occurred in nursing homes.
Shirley?
This rises to
Is now joining.
98.42% when you add in people with underlying health problems. People have an exaggerated idea of the problem here in New York City, for example, which is the American epicenter of the pandemic. The death rate from the virus for people ages 18 to 45 was 0.01%. A lot of these people are the ages of people who patronize bars and restaurants. And what's most interesting is, as we know, the vast majority of people who get this virus have mild symptoms, and in fact, most have no symptoms at all. And that's why the data that Attorney General Ellison referred to yesterday is very misleading. He talked about Stearns County. Look at Worthington, and I have been in personal contact with people in Worthington. There, at the JBS pork processing plant, all 2,700 workers were tested. And of those who were positive, which was 1,200, more than 90% had no symptoms at all. They didn't even know that they had the virus. The figures, I understand, are similar in Stearns County. It looks like a large number, but the vast majority had no symptoms. And this tallies with national data from states that have tested their prison populations, 96% asymptomatic, according to Reuters. So this good news, I think all of us need to know. It doesn't fit the narrative, though, of Minnesota policymakers. And as Brad Frecking, who's a veterinarian involved in meat processing plant testing, had said to me, these policymakers want shock and awe. So again, I commend you for your work on behalf of the citizens of Crow Wing County, and our center would like to offer you assistance in any way that you would find beneficial. And thanks for hearing me today.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. We also have some correspondence, Mr. Houle, that, not everybody thinks reopening is a good idea. So we're, and out of fairness, being that I read this correspondence that I received, probably a good idea to read the rest of them. Could take a little while, but that's okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead.
The first correspondence is from Dr. Minto Porter. I'm contacting you not as a resident of Crow Wing County, but as an Essentia physician representing hundreds of my patients who are residents of Crow Wing County. These patients are individuals of all ages and backgrounds who trust me to care for their asthma, pulmonary disease, immune deficiencies, and allergies. These are also adults and children who have trust you to represent them here in Crow Wing County. I do not take my responsibilities lightly, however, I cannot do it alone. I need you to stand up for them and make decisions based on science and MDH recommendations that will protect them. Certainly, I can keep these patients home to protect them, but I cannot shelter their families, their roommates, their care teams, etc. In addition, these patients are still at risk of potentially fatal allergic reactions due to food or bee sting allergies as well, asthma exacerbations. If you open up our bars and restaurants, our healthcare systems will be overwhelmed with COVID-19 patients, potentially delaying care for my patients who have made the responsible decision to stay home, yet cannot completely account for their allergy or immune disease. While we all want a full economic recovery as soon as possible, we do not want it at the expense of their lives. I am sorry that you have to take such a difficult stand, but these patients and citizens have entrusted you to make the right choice to protect them. Please make the responsible decision to keep bars and restaurants closed until the state allows. My patients are counting on you. Thank you kindly for your time. Minto Porter, MD. I have one from Abby Getz. I think that's a correct, well, I hope it's the correct pronunciation of the last name, from Crosby. I'm writing this email to urge you to support a resolution as soon as possible that would allow the bars and other businesses in Crow Wing County to open by Memorial Day weekend, Friday, May 22nd. Through the stay-at-home order, big box stores and various restaurants have been able to be open to the public. It would be more effective to enforce social distancing and safety measures in a small business than has been done in the big box stores and chain restaurants. Furthermore, allowing more businesses to open for the upcoming holiday weekend will ensure a large enough selection to spread out the increased customers they will surely see and keep the numbers down to a manageable level for each location. Crosby suffered through a slow summer last year with the 210 road construction and Highway 6 tunnel project, diverting traffic away from downtown. Next summer, we will be faced with another slow business season with the 210 Main Street reconstruction happening in town. As you know, the businesses in our county depend on the summer season to make their revenue to last through the winter. Allowing businesses to be open with guidelines and plans in place by Memorial Weekend will allow these establishments to benefit from the increased traffic over the holiday and start to bring in much-needed revenue. We want people to come to the Lakes area now that the stay-at-home order has expired. Even more so, we want our businesses in Crow Wing County to survive and to continue to create a robust economy. Do the right thing and pass a resolution to open our county. Abby Getz, Crosby, Minnesota. Another one from Amy Hansman with in Crow Wing Township. Commissioner Coring, I read about the meeting that will be happening tomorrow to address the issue of breaking the law and letting local business owners fully open before the mandated stay-at-home order is lifted. As a small business owner, as well as someone with autoimmune disorder, I'm asking that you don't do this. I understand how much people are hurting out there. Believe me, my business may not survive this. The entire situation is awful from every angle and is no one's fault. But instead of giving business owners a green light to return to business as usual and become lawbreakers themselves, I suggest focusing on ways the county can alleviate some of the financial stress that is burdening these business owners and their employees. These stay-at-home orders are not made lightly, and the fact that they've been put in place at all shows how seriously we need to take this situation. Please consider following state law and not conceding to popular opinion. I just read in an article that you believe we do too much public commenting and not enough letting commissioners make the decisions that are best for their constituents. So make the right decision that will not only keep us in compliance with the state, but will also give people like me a better chance at survival. I know you are a pro-life person, so please consider what is best for the actual health of your constituents and not just what's best for the economy. We need you to speak up for us. Amy Hansman, Crow Wing Township. I have another one from Jolene Hojum, and I do not have an address. This one was received by Commissioner Hoag. Dear Commissioners, I'm writing to register my disagreement with the county's plan to reopen businesses earlier than the state law is allowing for. Lost income should be taken seriously, but lost lives are even more important. We should follow the guidelines that the medical experts have set forth and that the governor has put into place because of those experts. This is a moment when you can make a decision that will drastically affect our community for better or worse. Please follow the experts and the law and do the right thing. Jolene Hodgem. And last, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, is from Leslie Moti in Brainerd. This one went originally to Commissioner Franzine. I'm writing as a resident of Crow Wing County District 4 and as a pastor of a local church to register my disagreement with the county's plan to reopen businesses earlier than plan issued by our governor. I have deep compassion and empathy for the lost income our local restaurants and bars are ensuring, but lost lives are more important. I strongly urge our county should follow the guidelines that have been issued by the governor that are informed by the wisdom and knowledge of medical experts. Your decision that will drastically affect our community and may result in a surge of new infections and even deaths of our neighbors. As someone who will be responsible for burying those in my congregation who die from COVID and the one who will provide care and comfort to the loved ones of those who are sick and dying, I beg you to please follow the experts and put your energy into fighting for financial assistance for our local businesses instead of putting the lives and health of our community in danger. Reverend Leslie Moti, Brainerd, Minnesota. Mr. Chairman, that's all I have received.
Okay. Therese, how many people are on the phone?
10.
10. Does,
Well, 9 on the phone and Josh.
okay. I'm trying to be really fair, so if anybody else that's listening wants to speak to the county board, I guess you press *6 to unmute yourself. If you'd like to speak, if you'd state your name and your address, or you don't have to, you don't have to say your address, just your town. Anybody else want to speak to the county board?
Mr. Chair, I'll just wait to, well, someone just unmuted himself.
Okay.
Okay, hold on. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
You can just state your name and where you're from and go ahead and speak.
Okay, this is Karen Miller from the Garrison VFW. And the impact that this has had on our community has been great. I mean, I was at the meeting where the board showed up to, and we greatly appreciate your support. I can tell you that there are numerous businesses in our area that will not survive this. And as Josh had expressed, the majority of our money is made, especially during the Memorial holiday. We've already missed, Fisher Oatner, and I just think that it would be too great for us to miss another one. And the other thing I would like to say is that I know that people are against this. However, everybody's already up here. This isn't that we're going to open businesses and that people are going to all of a sudden flood our area. They're already here. I just would like people to understand, to use some common sense. I don't even know what else to say. With our charities, I have to write our charities right now and express to them that I can no longer support them. I can't even sell pull tabs while people are waiting for their food on the drive up. So, I mean, this is serious. We've got fire departments that have a charity. They are no longer able to make extra income so that they can buy fire equipment. They're volunteers. I mean, this is affecting more than just restaurants and bars. This is affecting people that need help the most in our community. Our food shelves. I mean, we give thousands of dollars to our local food shelf. There's no way that we can do it any longer. And I don't know when we'll be able to even recover from this once they do open it. So I want to thank everybody for listening to me, but it's very painful. I just want to make sure that you're aware. I mean, it's affecting. I've got salon owners. I mean, this is just crazy. The people that have to follow the rules the most to have a business are not even allowed to open. So it's very disheartening. That's about all I got to say on it. But thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else want to speak, Therese?
May
No.
I chime in a few minutes?
Sure,
This
Josh.
is Josh from Lonesome
Yeah.
Pine. Just a couple things. The common sense that Karen touched base on, we were at a meeting on Friday, and there is no common sense with this thing. The level playing field that Julie's letter addressed, there's no level playing field. It is so frustrating for us small business owners who care deeply about our community and our customers and believe that we can do this the right way, the safe way, to go through Brainerd, to see, I've been told July 4th levels. I mean, people have commented it's like almost the 4th of July in Brainerd Baxter, how busy it is. To go into Menards, to go into Home Depot, to go into grocery stores and see them packed with people, hundreds, if not thousands of people going through there every day, and we can't have a couple hundred customers in our business. That's very frustrating for us. We want a level playing field. We can do this safely. We are trained. We have certified food managers.
Rod Haston.
Certified and trained by the state of
Is now
Minnesota.
joining.
Yes, this is a very deadly virus.
Alan Brenich.
But we are trained.
Is now joining.
We are ready. We will adapt our already stringent health codes. We will adapt our procedures for this. We went through H1N1. We went through norovirus. Those are viruses as well. This is worse. We can handle it. I'm sending a petition to the governor today that I wrote. I'd like to read it to you quickly. It'll probably take 2 minutes. This is going to go to the governor today. My name is Josh Goolsby. My wife Amy and I own the Lonesome Pine Restaurant and Bar in Bay Lake. As you know, you are well aware the Brainerd Lakes area is one of Minnesota's favorite playgrounds due to the abundance of opportunity and recreation and relaxation. Generations of Minnesota families have been creating memories in the Brainerd Lakes area each year. As business owners, we earn a significant portion of our annual revenue between Memorial Day and Labor Day each year, keeping Minnesota happy, well-fed, and enjoy the summer we all wait so long for. I am writing you this letter to request that your administration consider allowing restaurants to reopen to serve customers starting on May 21st at 11:59 p.m. Were this administration to compel Lonesome Pine to remain closed over the Memorial Day weekend, as it is currently planned, we stand to lose approximately 33% of our first quarter revenue. Thousands of our customers are opening up their cabins and lake homes each Memorial Day weekend. Due to our lack of proximity to the cities, we do not have the customer base that the Twin City restaurants enjoy. We desperately need the revenue that Memorial Day represents to survive. We needed this revenue before COVID-19, and we need it even more now. Further, I am sure you have heard or perhaps been briefed, the Brainerd Lakes area has been visited at peak summer levels during the safe at-home order. The people are traveling regardless of the order in place and visiting the area businesses that are allowed to be open. We can provide just as safe an environment, if not safer, than the big box stores. We are Minnesotans and we will do the right thing. We will not place customers in a dangerous situation and will abide by CDC guidelines. On behalf of the Lonesome Pine, I want to thank you for your efforts to protect the health of all Minnesotans during this unprecedented crisis. We understand and are committed to the importance of maintaining a reduced capacity, screening the health of our employees, practicing social distancing in a social responsibility manner. We also believe we can still responsibly serve our customers while representing these principles. Simultaneously, I request that the Lonesome Pine and other restaurants like Lonesome Pine around the state be allowed to reopen to serve Minnesotans for Memorial Day weekend. As other local leaders have already communicated to you, losing such a significant portion of revenue will be devastating at best and fatal at worst for the thousands of small restaurants in the land of 10,000 lakes. Please allow us to reopen for Memorial Day weekend. Thank you in advance for your consideration. Sincerely, Josh Goolsby, the Lonesome Pine.
Thank you, Josh.
There is a couple new people that joined.
Okay.
And it's *6 to unmute yourself. And is Alan on the line?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Are you wanting to speak to the county board?
Is now
Absolutely.
exiting.
My name is Alan Brenich. I own Big Al's Bar and Grill in Emily. I just wanted to say thank you for having the meeting and hearing us business owners out. Many of us have met, as Josh said, and we do have a plan. I agree with Josh. We are able to keep our locations much cleaner than any of the big box stores that seem to be open and flooded shoulder to shoulder. I just beg of the board that you consider that a large percentage of these businesses, including myself, are on the edge of bankruptcy. We will not survive if we're not open. And thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Mr. Hool, I'm gonna refer to you. We don't have, I was hoping the county attorney would be here, but we're gonna have to rely on you, and I know you're not an attorney, but you've been doing this for a lot of years, so I think you can add some context and some wisdom to this, I guess. You and I had a
Alan
conversation yesterday.
Is now exiting.
And I kind of laid out, I said, what's our options? You know, one option is we could send a resolution like the city of Deerwood did, which is kind of an encouraging resolution. We could pass a resolution like Pequot Lakes and say Crow Wing County is open for business. Yes, we do issue the licenses, but they do get, in essence, rubber stamped by the state. They could deny a license if they think that this person is defied this order, possibly. There's, you know, and if you're in the liquor business, you know you have to have a buyer's card, and the only way that you can buy alcohol is having a buyer's card. That buyer's card is issued by the state, so that buyer's card could be taken away. I asked you if Crow Wing County could sue the state of Minnesota or the governor, and you said, yes, we can do that. We talked about the gentleman down in Albany and becoming a, what would it be? I'll let you take it from there. So what do you think our options can be? And then after you're done, I guess we'll see what the county board has to say. But yeah, I think you see where I want to go, or what can we do? You know, I mean, except shout from the third floor of this building down to the governor's office. Is that all we can do? So, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I think Commissioner Coring has done a pretty good job of giving you most of the list of options. I don't have too many to add. What you were referring to in the case of the Albany bar owner would be, you could also file an amicus brief in that particular case, and that's a friend of the court brief, and whichever way you would want to go, either on the state side or on the Albany bar owner side. I do think that the bookend resolutions that you have that you could consider would be the Pequot Lakes one, where they declared the businesses open. I do think there are issues with that, and happy to discuss those with you. And the Deerwood resolution, which was encouraging businesses to get a preparedness plan put together, and encouraging the governor then, if the businesses had their preparedness plans, to reopen. To be allowed to reopen in time for Memorial Day. The governor is supposed to issue guidance for restaurants and bars, and it's not just restaurants and bars. I'd like to maybe broaden that thought process a little bit, because we've also heard from campgrounds, we've also heard from salons and barbershops, and it is any of those businesses where there is necessary close proximity. And what are the safety steps that people could take to try to do that? You could also authorize the chair to sign and send a letter that went along with a resolution. You can also individually or collectively try to call the governor's office to express your opinions, whatever the opinions of the board end up being. I think you can sue the state if you wish to do so. That would be within legal means. I think that's kind of the range of options I see. You guys might come up with one I didn't think of, and if you do, then I'll try to sort that through for you or help you with that as best I can.
What about the board? Bill, I don't mean to pick on you. Well, I do, but you were at the meeting. Any thoughts? What do you think we can do? Or
Well, I've also attended a meeting in Cross Lake yesterday
Right.
with the businesses too, and you know, my heart goes out with them, and I think that's where, what can we do to get some teeth into something? And I kind of agree with you. You can't just, you know, sit back and say, you know, Governor, please change things. And so it's like I need help identifying what those options are that we can really make something
Rod
work.
Haskins.
for us. And
Is
so,
now exiting.
and when somebody made the comment yesterday, if I don't get open Memorial Day, I won't be open 4th of July. And so you just see the pain that these businesses are going through. So this is really difficult in regards to, I don't know, I don't have an answer. You know, that's, if I can find the best one, I mean, you know, and obviously it's going to be a couple of them. I think calling the governor is one of them. Identifying a resolution. I do wish we had the county attorney here today. I'd like to see what his input would be on this too. I think that we have to really have some discussion on it.
Anybody else on the county board?
Well, I would like to read some letters that I received last evening so that
Rosemary, go ahead. Commissioner
I
Franzen.
received 4 letters between 6:40 and 10:44, so they haven't been forwarded. So the first one is from Janice Bradshaw, Lake Edward Township. Please don't vote to reopen Crow Wing County bars and restaurants now ahead of the governor's directive. I am of the age that people die from contracting the COVID virus. I believe we should stick to the current guidelines the governor's team of experts have put in place. This is a problem that team has been working diligently on for weeks to figure out the problems, and I believe it would be hasty for the county to set their own rules. I urge you to keep our health in mind and follow the guidelines and rules we already have. The next one is from Stephen Elg in Brainerd. I'm writing to register my total disagreement with a possible plan by the Crow Wing County Board of Commissioners to reopen businesses earlier than the governor's order is allowing for. First, the Crow Wing County Board doesn't have the legal standing to override the governor's orders. Second, this should not be a choice between lives and dollars, nor does it need to be. But if the false choice is made, the idea that lost income should be prioritized over lost lives, what the end result of that would be is indefensibly immoral and unethical. The real choice is between opening a smart, science-driven way, following guidelines put forth by medical experts and epidemiologists, or just carelessly charging forward. If this reckless path is taken, the most likely outcome is a surge in cases in the Brainerd Lakes area. The true reopening, when the majority of people feel safe to go out and eat and shop, will be pushed further out, and worse, needless lives will be lost. Friends and family of those lost lives will be looking for those responsible. That would include everyone on your board who voted to go along with this foolhardy plan. First, your concern should always be the physical health of your constituents, all your constituents. Please do the right thing, follow the medical experts, put lives before dollars. Next one, Kathy Malone, Breezy Point. I fully support the June 1st opening of bars and restaurants with 50% capacity. I think it's supposed to be capacity under the executive order of our governor. I go directly by proclamation against the governor's executive proclamation is opening Crow Wing County up for lawsuits against the state that our county cannot afford. Aside from that, restaurants need this time to file a COVID plan for their establishments, hire staff, return to beer delivery to replenish their shelves, maintain some. Distributors brought back unused beer at the beginning of the shutdown. Sanitize and clean their establishments, rearrange furniture, train staff, advertise, and at the same time continue with their pickup and delivery to maintain some semblance of an income. I know this because my family owns a bar. They are abiding by the June 1st deadline. They will not risk a fine. Are we ignoring the elephant in the room, the virus? It's there waiting for the bodies to rush in. The proposal is irresponsible and will not hold up in a court of law, I believe. Please don't allow this to happen. The Pequot Lakes American Legion defied this order on Friday night, May 15th, and had people inside dining and posted on Facebook. The AT warned them. A large fine is not worth it, and frankly, with no plan, puts patrons in danger. Please don't do this. I trust you will vote no. I'm sending a copy of this to all members. Next one is Audra Lind, and she doesn't give an address, but I'm writing as a resident of Crow Wing County, District 4, so that's my district, to voice my disagreement and disappointment with Crow Wing County's intent to reopen businesses earlier than Governor Walz's plan. I have incredible empathy for friends, family, and neighbors experiencing lost income. but the benefits of opening up earlier do not outweigh potential lives lost in the community and among health professionals due to the surge of coronaviruses. With all respect, none of the county commissioners, including those on record in favor of opening up early, have the necessary training or experience in epidemiology or infectious diseases necessary to overrule the guidelines set by state and national medical experts. Absolutely, we need to support our community businesses, but more importantly, we cannot let emotions supersede science. The medical community has recently identified COVID-related inflammatory diseases, sometimes fatal, in previously healthy children. Hospitals have reported COVID-related complications, including blood clots leading to strokes and embolisms for people in their 30s, 40s, and 50s with no risk factors. Case studies have documented virus spread from an infected person simply exhaling in an enclosed restaurant. Our medical experts have clearly stated that gatherings create potential hotspots for virus spread. The stakes for reopening and doing it right are incredibly high. Our state leaders are rolling out a plan to help businesses mitigate these risks. Following that plan is highly preferable to making it up as we go in Crow Wing County. Up until now, there has been some denial that viral spread can happen in the greater Brainerd Lakes area, which has no doubt pressured county leaders. But we already know that once in a community, this virus makes no exceptions and will not simply be wished away because people hope it does not come here. It has already arrived. It is now our responsibility to make sure it doesn't spread so quickly that we need to use the county's newly purchased refrigerator truck. I strongly urge the county to follow Governor Walz's plan. It is based on sound epidemiological and medical research, both at the state and federal level. No one on the county board is medically qualified to overrule that established infectious disease knowledge, and yet the lives of this county will be impacted by your decision. As someone with deep roots in this community, I am sincerely asking you to carefully consider the weight of your decision and follow the governor's plan. Okay, those are what I got last evening.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoag.
Just a couple things. I want to refer back to a letter that Tim wrote from a resident in Crosby, who stated that, last year we had a downturn in our business due to detours. It had a direct impact as a business owner myself. I felt that. This year, we've obviously got this pandemic that we're dealing with, which has even a worse impact. I reached out to MnDOT because, as you know, that next year we're scheduled for a complete redo of Highway 210 from the edge of Ironton to the edge of Crosby, which basically shuts down our city again to our tourists, our visitors to the area. My question to them was, can we reschedule this? Can we move these projects, around such that it doesn't affect, our business district directly?
Is now joining.
And the gentleman actually returned my call and was very polite about it, but basically said no. This project's going to go forward regardless. I understand that, but to that point, we'll have 3 back-to-back years of business, which. We might look at this as some of these individuals are hurting today, but we got to think out a year from now, maybe 2 years from now, on even if they'll ever be able to dig their way out of this mess. To some of these letters, and again, not anything towards Rosemary, but these people, we don't have to be medically, we don't have to be a medical degree to figure this out. We got to have a degree in common sense. Some of these things, these big box stores, which I broke down and visited one yesterday to get materials for my reopening of my business. And I see on the sign as you walk in, no more than 500 guests at a time. And just prior, maybe a week or so ago, you could walk in them stores without any mask, any protections, anything. That to me goes against some of these people urging us not to do anything today. That was going on for months and months. So I guess my point is, as small business owners, we have plans. We have, even us, we're going to be, I think, limited to a 50% capacity, which I'm all right with. Give me anything to open the doors and get people in. you know, we're better prepared than some of the big box stores, and I'm not saying it, but where's the fairness? Where's the fairness for big box to small business? When we can control our environment that we're working in, we can have safety plans that will actually work towards the safety of our employees and guests. I didn't see a sign of that yesterday during my visit. You see people coming within 2 feet of contact of one another. I mean, there's nothing there. So, you know, I don't buy some of the advice from, you know, the so-called medical fields that say, you know, it's going to have a huge impact for small businesses to open. I say we have common sense plans. We can enforce them better, and it is the lifeline of our community. And we've got to do something. My fear is that it's going to fall on deaf ears. You know, I'm in favor of sending any resolution that we had to give us Memorial Weekend, to give us something to cling to that may give us hope of surviving. But I just don't know that it's going to be heard. I hope it will. You know, if it's a phone call where we can actually speak to somebody live instead of an email or a resolution that's mailed to them, I think you know, the clock's ticking on that front. But I also want to give kudos to the cities. You know, Deerwood has put together a great resolution, Pequot, as well as any of those cities that have stepped up and protecting their businesses and you know, encouraging the early opening. You know, that's great to see. But I think it's a common sense thing, not you know, right now as a medical. Those folks that are in high risk, you know, and that's sad, but they have the option, you know, to probably stay away from these businesses that they feel are more, you know, likely for a high risk. You know, they can back off, and they can wait until things calm down even more before they visit. But it's, you know, right now it's people are clinging, and we've got to do something to try to promote an opening of our business and our communities. So it would be a sad, and I know there's no way to do it, but if you took a look at what is, and I've heard of some that probably will not reopen, but the impact of sales tax dollars and property tax, whatever it may be, is going to have a huge, you know, impact down the road. So the more we can avoid that, the better, I guess. So that's all for now, I guess.
Well said, well said. Steve, anything from you?
Yes, I'd like to, first of all, compliment our community and our businesses for all the efforts that they've made in the past couple months. I think that they've been patient. They've cooperated with the governor's orders. They've tolerated the issues that came before them. But I think people have been pretty responsible up to this point. Now, being in the Lakes area, we have the additional problem of this is our busy period. We will increase our population to around 300,000 for this county in the summer. That's tradition. And with that will come a percentage of people who won't use the safety measures that we think should be in place to keep us all as safe as possible. So to the point that the virus is here, I think that's a point that's well taken. I think it should be acknowledged, and we shouldn't back away from that. But I think that if businesses are going to open, and there should be a plan in place, the issue that comes from saying that is that when a governor or a state legislature passes a piece of legislation or an executive order,
Is now joining.
they do it in a broad sweep, and it doesn't address. So if a business is responsible and they come with a plan, and it's a great plan, following all the CDC orders and that, but their neighboring business doesn't come with a plan, they still can open, because the order is about opening. It's not about whether business A has the plan in place and who's going to enforce whether the business B has a plan in place. So that's a struggle in my head with opening up, but I know that we can't solve 100% of the problems, just like we can't force people 100% to wear masks, gloves, sanitize, and keep a safe distance. We can't order that. We can ask them to do it. We can ask them to be considerate of their neighbors and of their businesses, so that we can have some semblance of normalcy return to our life. So I do look at it, and we have a program that's going on that will be promoted, the Lakes Country Cares program. We had a press release yesterday that was, I think, a very good plan that is a collaboration between the county, the 3 Chamber of Commerces in our area, and the healthcare facilities in our area. And Administrator Houle made a point yesterday that safety is a competitive edge. And so to that point, and Commissioner Hoag, you mentioned that if people don't feel comfortable in that business is not going to have that person return. And if you know anything about marketing, one bad review moves out to 200 other people. So that's a huge issue, and for a business that doesn't want to follow the guidelines that would be placed out there. So having spoken way beyond what my comfort zone is normally, I am going to say that
Shirley?
I would agree with Commissioner
Is
Hoag
now
that
exiting.
we should send a message to the governor. If these businesses have a plan in place and if they're willing to comply with the CDC rules, that we reopen them as quickly as possible, recognizing that we don't have the authority to override that executive order. And I want to emphasize that as a group, we may have opinions, but we don't have the authority. And so with that, I'll end my comments at this time. So thank you, Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Houle, could you give us a little civics lesson about how this crazy government structure works here in Minnesota? And sometimes I've heard you say that the state is the mother and we're the children. Mm-hmm. And you might want to just explain how that works, that we're a creation of state government. So.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and if I can, I'd like to put in a plug for Lake Country Cares, because I think this meeting is a microcosm of why that effort
Correct.
On our behalf
Yes.
is so important. But I'll answer your question first. Counties are creations of the state of Minnesota. We are political subdivisions of the state of Minnesota. And so I am aware of no authority for county governments to override what happens at the state level. You have heard many, many times in different fields, we can pass rules that are more restrictive than the state of Minnesota, but we cannot pass rules that are less restrictive than the state of Minnesota. And so they are the sovereign. In our system of federalism, they are the sovereign, and we are their creation. And so the rules they set, you can imagine, they would never set a rule in place. We can't even issue property taxes against them. They would never set a rule in place that allows one of their creations to overrule them. And I'm aware of no authority for us to do so.
So then, Mr. Houle, even if we passed the resolution that is in front of me that Pequot passed and said, we declare, if this county board unanimously said, we declare Crow Wing County open for business and businesses can open, that doesn't mean that a barber or a salon or anybody that is issued a license from the state, they might open, but they might have their license taken away, and Crow Wing County Board of Commissioners has no control over that. Is that right?
Mr. Chairman, that is accurate, and that would be the danger in you saying something like that. This would fall into the category of saying it doesn't make it so. And you may, however, otherwise convey to people that it does, and then they may act on that and put themselves in harm's way. I did hear that the County Attorneys Association had been contacted by the State Liquor Control Board saying, for instance, if a restaurant or a bar owner operated in violation of the governor's executive order, that they might lose their liquor license. Restaurants and bars are also licensed by the State Department of Health. And so our action can't overrule any of those state authorities. So if you express that we're open, you may create the false impression that we're open. God forbid something bad would happen. I believe that you would probably get drug into that lawsuit. It would be questionable whether the Minnesota County's Insurance Trust would cover us for that, because the expression of an action that you don't have the authority to express might very well be viewed as an illegal action, and that is an exclusion from our coverage. And so that could mean Crow Wing County could be drug into that liability. You personally can be drug into that liability. I've been sued in my capacity as a county administrator individually twice already during my career. MCIT provided me an attorney in addition to the county getting an attorney. And so it's, I know, and if I may segue,
Absolutely.
it is not hard for you to understand how these businesses are feeling. And you can hear in their voice the desperation that they're under and the need for them to try to get some semblance of these 3 short months into their business. That's a very legitimate point of view. It's not hard to understand where they're coming from. It is equally easy to hear the fear from those folks who are afraid of virus transmission in our community, and those who are afraid that this could overwhelm our hospital system. That's also a legitimate point of view. Too many things in our society, we have made either or kinds of choices about it. And I don't believe this is an either or. This is a both. We have got to figure out how to do commerce with safety. And that is what Lake Country Cares is trying to do, and Crow Wing County is the leading sponsor of that effort, to try to say we have got to master how to do commerce with safety. There are 3 common sense elements to that. One of them is breathe safely. This is a respiratory illness, and so how it spreads is through respiratory droplets, through the air. And so what kind of barriers can you erect? We've erected barriers at our counters. You see people wearing face masks. You also see face shields. How can you prevent those respiratory droplets when you're ill, but don't even know you're ill because so many people are asymptomatic, from spreading to others? That's the primary purpose of wearing a mask. It's not to protect yourself. It's to protect the people that are around you. So breathe safely. The other one is social distancing. Walk safely. Stay a safe distance away from the people that you don't live with. And then finally, the other one is touch safely. What we touch and sanitizing our surfaces, and the aroma of disinfectant and cleaner are the aromas of caring in our community. And that's what we're trying to say is, let's care about each other. Let's care about each other well enough that we're going to go to inconvenient and extraordinary lengths to protect ourselves, to do it together. The Lake Country Cares Coalition is strong because it involves not only Crow Wing County. We are a public health agency. We do have the public health lens with which to review business plans. That's voluntary, but we're willing to do that. It also has all 3 chambers of commerce throughout the county involved in it. And boy, do they understand what the business community is going through deeply, personally. And it also involves 3 hospital systems, Cuyuna, Essentia, Lakewood. And they clearly understand the safety part of it. How do we bring safety and commerce together into the middle? That's how we're going to get through this over the long term. If we can get businesses to produce safety plans that keep their consumers safe, that keep their workers safe, that keep the residents of Crow Wing County safe, that's how we reopen. I know it's a tall order, and I know it's a tall order between now and this coming weekend, but there are still days left. And a safety plan does not take writing a book. I heard it described by the Chamber of Commerce as about 2 hours of thinking and 1 hour of writing. And Crow Wing County will review that plan. We don't approve them, we don't disapprove them, but we'll give you feedback on that plan with a public health lens. We will review those plans as quickly as we can. If we get 500 of them, we will turn them in no more than 3 days. And I think to this point, we've been turning them in about 6 hours. We know that this is important in our community. Banding together, there is safety together. To do this the right way, and I think Crow Wing County has the potential to show the state how to do this the right way. And I believe that is the right way.
Thank you. I tell you, I've been so mad about this stuff, you know, and I don't know this right from the horse's mouth, but I know that there's one bar down in my neck of the woods that the people were buying it on a contract for deed, and they have now told the owner of the property, they said, that's it, I'm done, and they just walked away because they realized. And you know, it makes me think of the salon owner down in Texas, where some big shot judge was wanting her to beg and grovel and say she was sorry, and she wouldn't. Say she was sorry, and she says, I'm not going to apologize for wanting to feed my family. And that's the same situation that these people are in. They're trying to feed their family. They're probably trying to pay their taxes, pay the taxes that pay the wages here, that keep the roads cleared in the wintertime, that fix the roads in the summertime. So I've come to the conclusion, I would love to sue the governor's ass off, but that isn't going to happen quick enough. I would like to offer up the resolution that Pequot did, but I think that would put businesses in jeopardy in Crow Wing County, and I don't know that I agree with that. I would like to see if we could join the lawsuit that this gentleman has down in Albany. I don't know that that would be the right path, so I've come to the conclusion that, and you always say that, what do you say, plagiarism is the best form of flattery. So I'm thinking, that really the only alternative that I can see is to offer up a resolution along the same order as Deerwood has, and but I guess, what does the county board think? Bill Brecken?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I'm going down the same path you are with that, but, you know, one of the things I just want to touch on is the Attorney General's already weighed in on this, and that makes it really difficult, and especially what happened up in Pequot. They contacted the Legion. They've got a restraining order against Shady's down in Albany. So, you know, they've kind of locked things up that way pretty good. So I'm agreeing with you on the path we should take. I guess I'd take a little bit further. The chamber director of Cross Lake calls the governor every day. So maybe we have to be a little bit more assertive too. So I think that my suggestion is that we share the governor's phone number with all of the commissioners, and we make that commitment that we're going to start calling him, that we do the resolution, and that we would get behind and promote Lake Country Cares and really assist our businesses in getting that preparedness plan completed as we can do that. And I guess the last thing maybe is that we pray that we can get something changed by Friday.
Okay, so Mr. Hulse, could we, I hate not coming up with our own ideas, but could we replace our name in this resolution and send a resolution and do exactly what Commissioner Brecken has just suggested?
Absolutely, yes.
Yes. Okay. You want to make that a motion?
Yes, I would make that a motion.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Hoag. Does everybody understand that motion? And everybody's committed to calling the governor? I don't think he's going to answer the phone, but anyway.
Can we get a cell,
would
can we
say
get a
another
cell
thing.
number?
I would say another thing, that elections have consequences, so just remember that the elections are coming up. And if you don't like the way things are running now, you know, things can change. So anyway, any further discussion on Commissioner Franzine?
Yeah. My family has been in business for years, you know, clear back
Correct.
to Grandpa.
Yep.
So I understand this. You know, I understand what happens. Just during the last recession, I know my son was in business at that time. I know how it hurt him. So, but I also have a
Karen
nephew
Miller,
that's a
VFW,
doctor,
Garrison, Minnesota.
and a niece that's a nurse.
Is now
so
exiting.
Safety is very important. They're in the middle of this. They're protecting us. And I also will not defy the governor. That's a no-win situation. And, you know, yesterday, Shakey's did try
Catherine
to
Curse.
open.
Shady's. Yep.
Shady's.
Is now exiting.
And Keith Ellison stopped them, and there is a $25,000 fine per day. I don't want to put any of our businesses
Correct.
that would be, you know, you can't afford the fine, let alone. So
And that's not what we're doing, Commissioner Franzine, with the
I do know what
deer-
we're doing, but I
Okay.
wanted to get it out. That
Okay.
I absolutely do not feel that we should cause, you know,
Right,
make
and
waves.
I'm in agreement with you. I'm in agreement with you.
Yeah. So anyway, I just want people to know that I do empathize, and I think we need to do something. And the Deerwood one just asks if, couldn't we please, you know,
Pretty please,
Yes.
Governor Walz. Yes,
yes, but I wouldn't support anything other than, you
and
know.
that's what we have before us, is we're saying pretty
We're
please.
plagiarizing.
We're saying pretty please. Aren't we, Mr. Hool?
Mr. Chairman, I don't know if I would necessarily characterize it that way.
Yeah.
It's twofold.
Yeah,
It's telling our businesses, you have to have a safety plan. And
Yeah.
the safety plan has to be breathe safe, walk safe, touch safe. And that needs to happen. In addition to that, if indeed they have a good safety plan that has a good public health lens attached to it, then please, let our people go.
yeah. And your office will put this together for me to sign so we can send that to them and,
Presuming it passes, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Of course, yes.
Okay.
And I would suggest the alternative is to make sure that the governor sees this. You might also consider authorizing the chair to sign and send a letter that explains some of the background. It would be a good opportunity to put the Lake Country Cares approach in front of the governor.
correct.
Because I think it's very consistent with what he is saying he wants. And so try to appeal to his sense of that coming together, this is how you do it well. You got to come together. You can't just stay out here. We have to do this together because we care deeply about each other, all of us, the businesses, the residents, the visitors, seasonal folks. It's because we care.
And I will say, I don't know what day it was. It was a few days back when he was having one of his 2:00 press conferences. And a outstate reporter actually asked him the question, Governor Walz, why do you have a one-size-fits-all for the entire state when there's some counties that have no reported cases at all? It's just not a one size, and that's what happens in this state, is they think the metro area that's it. And then they impose that on all of the rest of us. And I just don't think it's a one-size-fits-all. I really don't, so. Okay, Commissioner Hoag.
One quick comment. One, I want to just take a minute and thank Josh and everyone that he is representing, as well as anybody maybe that listening today, for following the law and not, as tempting as it is, not to reopen your doors and give the state of Minnesota the easy way out to solve this by yanking license and issuing huge fines that ultimately would put anybody out of business. But as we were sitting here, I got an email from Alan from Al's Restaurant North Crosby, but Something else to keep in mind too is with this whole pandemic and all of the meat processing, all of the cost of everything we're doing has gone up. You know, food costs, meat costs, everything. And what jumped out to me in his email is his safety plan, which is an excellent one. And these people are following the Lake Sprout template to put this together. Those all add costs to doing business. And it's not minimal costs. These are some significant cost additions to opening up your business. So you pile that on the top of the additional costs of the food, and it's going to be a tough hole to dig out of. And again, I go back to some of the earlier, you know, we're allowing some of these businesses to stay open that are basically the same type of businesses that we are doing as small business owners with no safety plan, with no additional costs. And it just, you know, and I don't know that we can include that in our resolution, but it's not an even playing field when it comes to the bigger stores versus the smaller stores. And we need to try to somehow even that to give everybody the same advantage or the same opportunity to be successful in their business. So you know, there's a lot more to this, and I think, you know, Josh and others could you know, speak to that, but it's going to be a long, tough road for anybody that does, you know, is able to keep their doors open. So I just, with that, I wanted to get that off my chest as well, so.
Sounds good, very, very well spoken. One final thing before we take the vote, and the lady from the Garrison Legion touched on this, and I thought about this on the way in. You know, for the people out there that, I don't know if people realize the repercussions of this are so far-reaching. And she touched on it a little bit, charitable gambling. The charitable gambling, if you love animals and you love Heart Animal Rescue, that's where a lot of the money that comes to support Heart comes from, is charitable gambling. When I owned a liquor store, I had pull tabs from Heart. It's the Brainerd Snow-Dio-s, it's St. Matthias Park, it's the Sports Boosters, on and on and on and on. This is having a profound, it's just affecting everything. So, anyway, enough said. All in favor of, yes?
Can I clarify one thing in the motion?
Yes, sir.
Is it the mover and the seconder's intent to include campgrounds, salons, barber shops as well?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And we did hear from former Commissioner Phil Trusty, who owns a campground down here, who's struggling to try to be open and try to, you know, he makes all of the money for the whole year just in a short period of time. So, all in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. We, that's all, anything else to come before the emergency Board of County Commissioners meeting?
Mr. Chair?
Yeah, good. Tim Hool.
Your local emergency declaration is scheduled to expire on May 23rd, and I have sent you guys information that at this point in time, staff sees no reason that we should need to extend that at this point. The one thing I think you're going to have to contemplate and think about is we still probably cannot afford to have a large group gathering occur as part of your board meeting. That's still probably not going to be a really good idea. We are making use of technology to allow people to participate, and I would suggest that we can let reasonable numbers participate this way, do public comment periods for larger groups. How would you like to handle that attendance at your board meetings moving forward? I won't have an opportunity before the 23rd to ask you that question again.
What, Commissioner Franzine?
My opinion is we need to follow the governor's guidelines, just like we're expecting everyone else to do. If he says you can open up, we can. If he says we still need to do this social distancing, then I think we need to keep on with the doors closed and 10 people, and that's just my opinion.
What is the directive from him?
Right now, the CDC guidance is still for groups no greater than 10. And as you look around the room today,
We have 11.
we had 11, we're down to 10.
Okay.
And so that's the problem, but if we can, we are broadcasting your board meetings live. We have always been on our website. Now we're broadcasting them on Facebook. We're also broadcasting them live on YouTube. In addition to that, you see that we are working out the bugs of the technology to help people to participate virtually. And that's how I would like to throw your virtual doors open.
How long are you thinking?
I honestly, Mr. Chairman, I don't know.
Well, for one, to weigh in, I think we should be open, and we should, if people come in, they should be spaced the appropriate amount of space. I mean, this is their government.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like I said about opening up the county buildings for people to come in and get a permit. You know, you can say, well, you can go online. Not everybody has a computer. Not everybody does business that way. They come in here and they want to, they're paying for it.
Mm-hmm.
They're paying my wages. They're paying your wages. And I just don't know how long we can be locked down, but I guess, you know, I don't know. I just, this technology, I want to be able to have people be able to give their input, but you know, I'm one vote here, so.
Mr. Chair, if I might,
Commissioner Barrows.
I understand your concern, and I certainly endorse our open meeting process. But I also think that we've been given guidance to have 10 or fewer people. I think it's important during some of our meetings that we have the staff in the room with us to explain situations. That virtually eliminates the public from coming into these meetings, because there's 7 of us that are required to be here. Dispatch makes it 8, so you really are limiting. We can have our staff, if they need to, come at various times to address us if they need to be in the room, and we're already at 10. So that's, I think, the direction that we need to go, but I also think that we need to continue to allow the public to access our meetings, which now we've added the budget and personnel in the committee of the whole meetings to that agenda. So I think we're doing the right thing, and I think we need to continue with whatever technology we can enhance to make our meetings more open to the public. And I think until CDC or the governor changes that directive of 10 or fewer people, that's the length of time that we should be adhering to that process. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I will at this point just say I agree kind of with Rosemary too. Until that group of 10 or more, 10 or less, meeting is probably the right thing to follow through with at this time.
I'll only add that if we're going to be, and we are, I think, a huge partner in the Lakes Country Cares, that if the guidelines are set, we need to adhere to them as well, and that would mean, again, unfortunately, as Steve says, basically it allows 2 staff at a time, to be here to follow those rules. We should do that to just be that leader and set that example. So.
Mr. Chair, we would still accept any letters that people would want to send us. If they don't have access to email, a snail mail, if someone would call us and say, I'd like you to take some notes down, we'll read it. What I really want with the technology, though, is if somebody wants to participate in open forum, they can. For some people, it might even be easier. They could do it from work if they can take a 15-minute break or something. I don't know.
What about we got our Board of Appeal coming up?
Mm-hmm.
How are we going to handle that? Because I know there's some people that they don't have, they're not tech savvy, and they're not, so how, I don't even know. I know Gary's here. How are we do we have a plan on how we're going to handle that?
Mr. Chair, you do. Right now, because there are not as many staff that would need to be in the room with you at that time, we think we can still manage that to a group of 10 or less. And so right now, you're proposing to let them in to do that face-to-face. Social distancing is still going to be an important thing. We'd prefer they wear a mask when they come into the building. You could switch that and do it virtually if you wish. What I might suggest is, why don't you offer the consumer the choice? Because some folks are traveling from the Twin Cities.
Right.
And they might prefer to appear virtually, and if the technology can work for them, okay. And then it becomes a consumer choice.
Yeah.
We would ask, I think, that only one person come for each of the appeals. That will help us to contain the size. So right now, Mr. Chairman, that's the plan. I would suggest adding the virtual option.
I think that sounds like a great idea. I think in hearing this, Mr. Hool, I think you have the direction that the board wants to go. Do you feel like you need a motion?
Mr. Chairman, not really, because it is following CDC guidance
Yeah.
and MDH guidance, and that has been the driving force for us all along with this. There is the provision in the open meeting law that allows during a pandemic, which clearly this is a declared pandemic, to make these kinds of modifications. I'm frankly just really glad that the technology would allow someone to do it. Reading someone's letters is not as good as allowing them to express that opinion themselves, and they can call if they want, but it's even better if they would appear through Teams, because then we could see them, and facial expressions are important. So just letting the public in more than we have been able to, I think is really important too.
I think you understand where the board is going with that. So anything else for this emergency meeting of the County Board of Commissioners? Nothing else? The chair would accept a motion to adjourn.
Also move?
So moved by Commissioner Brecken. Seconded by Commissioner Hoag. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. We will just take a quick break